Never thought I was going to be going to college, to be honest with you. I was the first one to go to high school through high school in my family. An opportunity came up through high school that I was going to come to college, and I ended up at Rockford College by mistake. It wasn't on purpose. It was by mistake. They were at high school at the time, and I thought I was going to go to Boston College, but I ended up at Rockford College because of soccer, nothing else, and got the opportunity to finish my education there and play soccer. It was an high school, as I said. Did not have a very good year, first year as a student, but soccer was fine. Came in as a freshman, played a lot. But what I learned real quick is that the academics were important at that time. So I came in, I was going to be an engineer major. I was going to major in things that I was going to make money, and everybody told you that's what you should go until you find out that some of those classes are a little bit over my talent. And but played through those years, got involved right away into coaching those years. Our college coach at the time was Paul Banta, and he got us involved in our community in Rockford. They started a club in 1981, I think, called Rockford United, and he volunteered us, this is the players, to come out and train these teams. And that's what we did. For 4 years that I was at the university, at the college, we had to volunteer 4 days a week to come and train kids. Best experience of my life. Yeah. Got me involved in the community, got me involved with kids, but not only that, but opened the doors for me that who I am today. I think it developed me as a coach and as a person right away. So a little bit different than how we do things today, because I think we sometimes jump real fast into coaching. In that situation was an opportunity because there was no money during that time. Clubs were just starting in the backyard of someone. So it really helped me develop to be involved in soccer. It opened the doors. I think if I had any suggestions or any comments to coaches today is open the doors by volunteer, by being involved. That's the key. And those doors open, that's how I started with DODP in Illinois. That's how I started with coaching schools. At that time, it was volunteer. I remember being the demo guy for the D course. I would do the demo. I think Roland's online here. I think Mike Taylor was involved in those days, Paul Maddock. I was the young guy. I was the dude that the demonstration. So that's what got me involved into soccer. So I did that probably 2 or 3 years before I even could get to my license. So those are the days that I look back and say that really made us to who I am today. Opened the door to a lot of doors that otherwise it probably wouldn't be there. The connections with people, with parents and associations and things like that. So that was my first experience, right in college, to be involved not only as a player, but as a coach. That's how I started.
So when you started as a college soccer player coaching, was there things that kind of stick in your mind now that like, man, I did this then, I'll never do that again? Or was there certain things that you really kind of still do now that you learned back then?
Well, let's put it this way. There was more things that I learned what not to do than there was what to do today. So let's just take some physical fitness as an example. I mean, realistically, in the college days, Adam, you're a college coach. I've been a college coach. And we sometimes might have not have done things the correct way from the fitness standpoint. So I think that's one area that we didn't know how to prioritization worked. So I think that was a big learning experience for me. The other part was about, I think I've learned through the years, is that the individual, taking care of the individuals. I think I learned a lot how to be team oriented, but I did not learn how to take care of people. And I think I'm an example. I think I do what I do today because someone took the time to take care of me and knowing my needs or my not being successful or not being good at certain things. As coaches, we have to know that each kid is a little bit different. It can't be just the overall the same way. You got to do this because maybe, Adam, the way you do things and the way Louis does things, maybe you're better at fitness and I'm not. Maybe I'm more skilled. That's, I think, is one of the areas that I think we learn the most. I've been lucky because through the years, I think that's one of the strengths that I've gained is taking care of individuals, because everyone is different and you have to take care of them.
Right. No, that's great. That's great. You know, for me, I've learned a lot from you, just certainly going through the coaching education courses. And I certainly see you as one of my mentors. You probably didn't even know that, but I'm telling you now. So, which is great.
Well,
And
thanks for doing that.
and sometimes the whole idea of mentoring is you don't even realize you're a mentor. Was there people that stood out for you in your journey? Obviously, maybe going back to Paul as your first college coach, and then other people throughout the years that kind of stand out as mentors.
Well, I think all of us can look back and say there's a lot of people that have made mentors. You know, I look at it, even my dad, you know,
Yeah.
I was scared of my dad watching me play, because you'd almost think he was never good enough, right? So in the old days, there was no age limit. You know, I grew up in Portugal. You're 14, you're playing with the men. You're 12, you're playing with the 18s. So there was not that thing that we do today. You know, if you're an 18, you have to play with the 18s. You know, it was a little bit different. Along the way, yeah, there's been people that have given me the opportunity. Without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. Paul Maddock, as an example, it was the state director of in Illinois.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, out of the blue, he liked me because I could demo. You know what I mean? So I learned that if it wasn't for him, he got me involved in the Olympic development program. He got me involved in Region 2 staff. I mean, I was on the regional staff for like 21 years straight because of someone like him said, hey, you know, one time a regional coach didn't show up and they're like, hey, I haven't used this young guy. You could come and help him. You know, what an opportunity for me. You know, I learned fast. You're right in the middle of things. So he's certainly an example. Paul Banton's an example. You know, my high school coach. You know, my high school coach was not anything about soccer. Gene Botello. I just happened to talk to him a month ago. And he would say, Louis, you go run practice. Let's go run practice. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm in high school. I'm not. Just because I played club, he was like, oh, these kids are going to listen to you. So you learn quickly to, hey, make sure at least you can be involved and take the lead. So that's an example. I mean, along the way, I mean, the latest guys for me, you know, guys like even Roland and Mike Taylor and Alex Hernandez, those are guys who are involved with me in the beginning, you know, and then in later my years, Paul Maddock, Region 2 coach. I mean, the opportunity is given me so I can get into the national staff. Another guy that I still talk to on a monthly basis, you know, I have someone in Milwaukee right here, Bob Gansler, and Manny Shellshine. Those two guys have really helped me through my career to just be positive with you, giving you some feedback when you needed the feedback the most. Again, I think it goes back to that one-on-one relationships.
Yeah.
I never looked for anything from them. I don't think they looked for anything from me. I think when you go into something like this and you're not expecting anything in return, I think you'll be a lot more successful. And I feel like those guys certainly have given me the opportunity that still today, I'm still really good friends with them and I respect them because of, you know, they've given me an opportunity and some feedback, and without even knowing, hey, I want to be a national team coach or I want to do this. No, it's just because I enjoy the game. Yeah. I always said it to my wife, and she laughs about it, that I could just stop anywhere and watch a game. There's a passion for it. Right. I grew up, and those people keep instilling that passion into me every day, and I still do that today.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, you know, there's so many people that influence all as coaches, as instructors. You learn, I think, during this time. It's been really good in the fact that we've been able to listen to so many different people, maybe things that we may not have done in the past, just because we have the time to do it. So it's been really good. So going back to kind of coaching education and kind of new coaches, you talked about the volunteering, how that's a key. What would be kind of some of the things you would give to these young coaches? And we've got a few young coaches on the call today. What would you say to them? Why do you value coaching education, and what should you do to kind of get even more involved in maybe that next echelon of their education?
Well, the first thing that I would say is it's not about me. It's not about us as coaches. It's about what are you there for? And as long as you're there to help the kids, advance the kids, it's not about you advancing. It's not about me advancing. As soon as you do that, I think you lose perspective of why you're there for. Right. Because then you're going to talk different. You're going to say things different. You're going to act different. So those things should be out of the way. It doesn't matter if as a coach, as a player, as someone that you help. So you're in there because you want to make a difference in people's life. I look at it, I coach the same way as when I played. Like if you want to give people an opportunity. I wouldn't be who I am today if those guys would not give me. I was not that good of a player. I still don't think I'm a very good coach, but people keep giving you an opportunity because I'm going into it not just thinking about I'm the most important person in that room or that conversation. That's not what it's about. It's about, can you help this kid get better and feel good about themselves once they leave, either talking to you, being with you, or playing with you. If you can do that, you know what? You're going to be successful as a coach. I look at it, this is not what I thought I'd be doing for a living. I graduated from college in May, and I'm like, people ask me, what are you going to be doing? I didn't know. I just happened to end up being into coaching because I did a lot of that stuff. But it's, can you make a difference in someone's life? And I look at it even today. I love that part. It's challenge to me when there's a kid saying, I can't do this. I can't play this position. Or I can't do this. I think for us as coaches, it's a challenge. It's not about, wait, if I do this and I win this game, am I going to be a national team coach? That's not how it works. You might work in the short term, but in the long term, it's not going to work. My dad used to have a saying all the time, remember your friends. Your friends are the ones that help you get there. Think about as a kids, all the kids you connect with. We got a lot of people that we touch. Remember those in the way up because you're going to need them in the way down. Doesn't matter how far you go up. There's only one guarantee in life is you're going to come down sometime. You might be the national team coach, but someday you're going to not be the national team coach or whatever you're doing in your position. So remember those that help you get there, and the kids and the families, those are the most important. Right. I think we're lucky today. We're lucky because of the relationships we've created with the people around us. Think, every single one of you, think how many people you have connected just because of the sport. Especially in today's society, there's so much going on. Just think about how many people we've connected and we've done. So I think about that every day, that I don't feel like I deserve anything. I feel like every time that I have an opportunity, I want to make a difference. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we should all go in, even the young coaches. Nothing's guaranteed. You just go in, do it, and keep, as you said, the player as the center, the player and the families, and making sure they're always the center of you as an instructor, as a coach, whatever it may be. So kind of evolving into the kind of the new grassroots program. So we've got the tasks of a coach, and we talk a lot about, the player and coaching the player. What would you say in terms of the changes? You've seen a lot of changes within coaching education, but what would be kind of the changes you've seen recently for the positive, and certainly things that maybe we're still working on and improving, that you've kind of seen in the years that you've been involved as a national instructor?
Well, I think the positive is giving coaches their presentation, their knowledge, and justification why they're doing things a certain way. I think that has opened up along the way. I think if you look back at our older systems, and you see this still in Europe, you see this all over the world, that, it's this way, that's the only way you're going to be successful. I think on new grassroots, on new coaching, there's more of, okay, if you're going to do this, why would you do that? And you have reasons why you do it this way, and explain to the kids. Because today you're going to have to do a little bit more explanation than before. Before, when you started coaching, 10 years ago, you'd say jump, kids jump. Today you ask jump, why am I jumping? What do you need me to jump for? Why can't I just walk there? So I think from that standpoint, and the coaches the same way. I think the younger coaches, they want to have the reason. It's okay for you to have a reason. If you want to play this way, or if you're coming up with this exercise, okay, why would you come up with this exercise? I think it gives an opportunity of people to have the discussion. I think one of the things we lack the most as coaches is those discussions. I mean, you learn by just, you learn by seeing it, you learn by doing it, but you learn also by having discussions. Sometimes we didn't spend enough time just having a discussion about the game or about soccer. I think we as coaches, if we can do more of those, I think it's going to be interesting for all of us. Where you're going to learn, you're going to be more successful. So that's the part that I like more than it was before. Because I think when you look at someone and not be afraid of fail, You know what I mean? I think one of the big things before is like, it was all about either pass or fail. And people sometimes didn't care about the journey. They just care at the end of the day, I have that piece of paper say I have an A license or I have a B license. Those licenses don't mean anything if you don't know how to use it. So I think it's important. So I think the new method, it's given us a little bit more of that opportunity. So to have that more discussion, to be involved. You know, part of the negative side too is we're not involved in the game as much. You have to be better and in doing presentations and talking to people, you know. So maybe on the field stuff is less. But a lot of the coaches, this is where you spend most of your time. Spend most of your time on the field. You're coaching 3-4 teams. When do you have time to worry about how did that session go? Oh, that's the question. What do I need to improve in? So there's pluses and minuses, but I think we as coaches now, you no longer coach in one team. There's very few of you probably are lucky to coach one team. So now you're coaching 2-3 teams. So you're going from one game to another. It's taking a lot of time. Yeah. So it changes the way you view things. It changes the way you do things now. It's a lot different. So those are some of the things that to me. And then one other thing we talked about is the individual thing, taking care of the individual. You know, it doesn't matter. We were so used to like, you know, my top 11 is what I worry about. The bottom 8, I don't care about. Mm-hmm. You know, those bottom 8s, I've always looked at it as a coach. You know, on your team, you have three different groups, the top group, the middle group, and the bottom group. As a coach, how do you manage all of those? You know, you always hear, I don't have enough forwards. I don't have enough defenders. Well, this is what you got. What can you make? Can you make the lower player become an average player? Can you get an average player to move up to the top tier and things like that? So I think those are the discussions I think today it's really cool to have, because I think you can have more of those discussions and just listening to, hey, Adam said I need to do it this way, and that's the only way to do it.
Right. Yeah. And players now, I think, are given an idea of what they need to work on. I know before, even when I was playing, you know, I'd made one mistake, I wouldn't see the field for the next 6 games.
So you didn't know why.
Different. So
and
now,
you didn't know why, right?
Exactly. Here's the action plan. These are the things you need to work on. Can we get better at that stuff? So, you know, all those things. Plus, like, and I know you kind of mentioned a little bit, is the reflection. You know, often we don't have as much time to really think about it because we're doing so many teams and we're working on so many groups. How do you think for yourself the reflection piece has been significant in coaching education?
I think it's huge because before, I mean, there's 2 things that are important to me is how do you reflect? You know what I mean? First of all, you got to reflect, like when you're talking to the kids, put yourself in the kids' shoes. If you're speaking and all of a sudden after a minute of speaking, you're like, what did I just say? Mm-hmm. You know, can you imagine what the kids are listening to you, what you're saying? So that's a reflection on you already. Because sometimes we just go on for too long without knowing what the purpose of the discussion, you know, and again, I go back to my older days, and I played for some coaches when I was playing in the professional indoor league. I mean, there's no discussion. You know, the coach said something, and that was it. It was, you know, he would send you off the field, like you said, right? And you didn't know why you went sit down, but you don't ask the question. Where today is, I think we as coaches, be aware of what you're saying and what you meant to say, because a lot of times we're just rambling on without knowing. You know, that's why I always talk about, go to 3 things. These are the 3 things I want you to concentrate. You know, are they listening to you? I think it becomes very important, because if you go for too long, guess what? They're not going to remember, you know, they're not going to care what's going to happen there. That becomes a big deal. Like we're here, we're just discussing, but if I was given a talk to my team or my player, be specific and let them tell you a lot of the situations. Find out where they're at, because a lot of times we don't even know what the kids are. You've had coaches, I mean, we're all gone through it. We probably have coaches, we've coached before, kids that we don't know a lot about them. We don't know a lot about what they know about the game. We think we know what they know about the game, but you never had an opportunity to let them speak with you about how much they know. I think it becomes important. And then the second thing that I would say is, it doesn't matter. Are you doing that when someone's not even watching? Or you're just doing that when someone's watching? I think we've made so many mistakes of I want to look good. I want to say the right things in front of people. But when people are not around, they're not. You find the character in people when, either they're watching or they're not watching. You're the same way. You treat people the same way. You talk the same way. That becomes important. We've seen too many coaches that when someone's watching, they're completely different. They're quiet. They don't say anything, positive, all that. Someone leaves, here's a chance.
Right.
Adam, you're on the bench, all of that stuff. So, be yourself. We're all different. We cannot be the same. There's no such a thing as, we can't all be Mourinho. I know you only liked him when he was at Chelsea, but we cannot all just be him. But we could, you need to be yourself. Take some of the positive that you have, add some of those, and then some of the negative things, how can you get better at as coaches? And I think self-evaluation becomes important. And then the third part I would say is not only talk to your friends, but talk to someone that you compete with. How can they be honest about you? Can they give you some feedback that's honest about it? Those are the things we never used to. We don't talk to people we like. We don't talk to people that we say, hey, because sometimes you never know. You want to know the truth because you're not going to get better if you don't improve your weakness, just like your three theories of your team. We have that as coaches also. So that'd be my comments.
No, that's great. That's really good. Yeah, I think for me, even within the grassroots courses that we teach, I always love the halftime speech. They have to do that, and we have to do that in the national courses too. But to me, that really helps a coach get better, because too often they spend half their time figuring out what their lineup's going to be during those 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. It's got to be specific, so it kind of helps organize them a little bit. Yeah. So, Katie, I think we've got a few questions in the Q&A. So, Louis, be ready. Got some questions here.
I might not know the answer.
A request for you to share some of the best memories from your time as a national team coach.
Sure. I mean, the best one is when I coached with Jay Millard U17s. We went to Portugal, and it was us. It was U.S., Portugal, Spain, Iceland, Italy, and it was one, I think was Colombia was the other one. 6 teams tournament, and I was Jay's assistant with the 17s, and I've been out of Portugal for a lot of these. It was in the Algarve tournament, and we go in and we play Portugal, and my heart was pounding so hard. I was so nervous and stuff, and the TV stations were there, and they were talking in Portuguese, and they didn't realize I was Portuguese at all until I guess halftime. And then something came along, and by the way, we ended up winning the game, US 2-1. So what a feeling I had, because going into the game, I'm like, I can't lose.
Sure.
My heart goes with one, my head goes with the other group, but we still did. And then all of a sudden, after the game, a couple of the TV stations were there watching, and they come over and ask all these questions about how come we didn't tell us you. I'm like, is a perfect example. Why would I want to say that before the game? I want to know all that stuff. So to me, that's a great example. That's an experience for me that I'll never forget. Being in your home country back there, and I hadn't been there probably in 15, 20 years. I think I was in 1994, 95, 94. I went back in there. So that was a great experience for me to have that. I've gone back a couple different times with different teams, but that first experience was the one I'll never forget it. And again, it was by mistake how I ended up being, but I had that opportunity, and since then I've had 3 or 4 more opportunities to do that. So that was kind of cool.
That's great. We got another one, Katie. Any other questions?
Someone asked, who was your favorite player to coach and why?
Ooh, there's too many to name, actually. I've said this a couple of times, and a couple of the friends that I talk to, it's important. I mean, I've been lucky because I've coached at the national team level. I'm lucky because I coached locally with the Raptors with some of the kids. And people always say, why don't you aren't you proud of all these kids that play with the national team that you've seen them? Yeah, but I'm most proud of the kids that I see locally. Because you know what? At the end of the day, they see you in the supermarket. They see you at your facility. They see you on a day-to-day basis. In the end of the day, they're going to be, lawyers, doctors, whatever they are, the same way as everybody else. And I always say to coaches, we can make a difference And if we can make the difference in our own community, then that's the best environment. There's nothing more pleasurable to me than seeing our local kids playing in college, continue playing, and coming back on Friday nights now and playing on the Friday night leagues. I'm as proud of that kid than than the kids that play with the national team that otherwise they wouldn't be there. And I have a good number of players that I've been involved with U14s on. But I love when I have a kid like, Sam or someone else that comes here and now they're playing here on Friday nights and they come up to you and they recognize you and they say hello and give you a hug, even though we can't hug these days anymore. But to me, there's too many to name. And so that's I coach the college level. To me, that's a great atmosphere because you get to know them more on a one-on-one basis. But I would say to me is when you're in that environment, and I've been here in Rockford now for over 25 years. So seeing the kids now, I'm coaching their kids and their grandkids. That gives me a lot of pleasure.
Yeah. And there's so many good players that have come out of Rockford. I mean, when you look at the players who play college, professionally, there's been a good level, not only in soccer, in other sports as well. Some of them were soccer players, became football kickers or whatever it may be, just like your son, right? So there you go. So all these things happen. So there's lots of things that kind of take place as well. So last question, and then we'll kind of open it up again for any other questions. So what's going on with Sportscore 2 in terms of the facility and things you're working on? Is there anything happening? I mean, tell us what's happening there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. I mean, we're making like 15 different plans because we can't have just one plan. Imagine this, we have about 2 to 3 million people visit our facilities a year.
Wow.
In the last 3 months, we haven't had, we've had 150. So it's a big difference. Our plans is to modify, to change things around what we do. I think the long days of having 500 team tournaments is probably a while from now. I think we're looking at plans of what are we doing now? Change it to smaller groups maybe. Diversified maybe in different sports. So now, we're lucky because we are diversified already. We don't just do soccer, even though soccer is our main sport, but we do all these other sports. So we, to a certain point, are going to be busy once we open up again. But and each one of those, we're coming up with so many plans, because what happens if the governor says this? What happens if IYSA says this? So there's all of these things that it's out of our control, but all we can do is provide examples of what happens if we can do this. So our staff, we're not a big staff, but we're looking at 4 or 5 different options for 4 or 5 different all the sports. What happens if we can do this? That's what we're going to do. The next thing is we're working on is because of Sportscore complexes is we still struggle in regards to finances, how to pay for itself. And so this is an opportunity for us to maybe change the whole process, how we do it. What do we do? How do we do it? Because we bring a lot of activities to our community, which helps our community. Hotels, food, gas, taxes, all of that. But that not necessarily coming to our facilities. So I think it's a new opportunity for us to kind of start over. I don't want to say start over, but we kind of do. So we've made aware to all of our staff to this is an opportunity for us to change, to start from scratch. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're looking at options, like today, I just got a call from a different organization that wants to come in with 40 teams, where before it was 200 teams. So now we just have to do things different. We might have to have 2 or 3 different events in the complex. We're lucky because we have 2 complexes. We have enough fields. Between the 2 complexes, we can go close to 40 fields, the indoor facilities. So, and people are willing to play. I think the study shows that people want to play. They want their kids to participate. So at least from that standpoint, we're going to be in a good position. It's just a matter of when and how much of it.
Yeah, the great thing is you've got so much space. You've got the fields. So this time of social distancing, or as we call it now, physical distancing. We still want them to be social. We still want the kids to talk to each other.
Right.
Physical distancing isn't really too much of an issue. So I know we may have a few people who are not necessarily too familiar with Sportscore 2 and the new edition, and obviously all the complexes themselves. Here at Illinois Youth Soccer, we're very privileged to be able to be part of that association as well, and we use a lot of the indoor time for our ODP programs. But just a quick synopsis of what do you have there? I mean, what could people actually utilize? A lot.
Okay, we have a little bit of everything. Whatever you need, we'll come up with whatever sport you come up. But outdoor, we have two complexes. The Mercyhealth Sportscore 2 complex is about 200 acres of outdoor space. We have 6 turf fields with lights outdoors and 1 indoor. So we have a full outdoor field indoor that we can do basically almost anything in there, any sport. Soccer is one of them where Adam says Illinois Youth Soccer uses their home for the state cup finals and ODP and all of that stuff. Outdoor, the other fields, we have another total at this complex, about 26 full-size fields. So some of those, majority of those are grass fields, but they're in great shape right now. They're the best shape they've ever been because we haven't had any activities the last 3 months. So, and then same thing at Sportscore 1. We have a complex there that has 8 softball diamonds, lit diamonds. They have lights on it, concessions, and about 15 soccer fields. That's also across the river. And then here, in our indoor facility, we have, as I said, the big fields, which could be divided into 4. And then we also have the 2 old fields, one with the turf, with a board, like hockey, the boarded fields, and then one without boards. Then we have a full-service restaurant inside of the facility, concessions, bathrooms, and things like that. So we are, coach and education. We have a stadium that fits about 2,500 people that we've played from everything from state cup to national teams. We have national teams train and play here and international games. So we have a little bit of everything. So if you've never been here, you can look at our website, mercyhealthsportscorecomplex.com, and you'll see it. There's a visual that you can look at our facility. So we're really happy how this complex has grown, both complexes, but this complex has grown to be what it is. I think it's one of the best in the Midwest, but I'm a little bit because I'm here, so that's why.
Little biased, but that's all good.
Yeah, a little biased.
Yeah, it's great. No, we appreciate it. So, like I said, we hope to be back there soon because we spend so much time there. So we certainly hope to be there soon. Hopefully, we're going through the phases now, so we'll see where it takes us and how long it takes us. Obviously, we want to be as careful as we possibly can. So, any more questions, Katie?
Nope, that's about it.
Okay. All right. So we may stick around for a little bit. If anybody has any questions, feel free to jump on and ask us a question. It looks like maybe one just jumped in, maybe.
Oh, Mark wants to know if you've coached any big names or some that went through coaching education with your involvement as an instructor.
Merrick wants to ask that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of them. See, he was nobody when we had him in the B course. I was his instructor, so I didn't know who it was. Look at him now. He's a big deal in the state of Illinois, and he's teaching C courses across the country. So I would say from the Polish side, yeah, I think he's probably the biggest one I've ever encountered. So Merrick, yeah.
Don't say this. His head's going to get too big. We won't be able to get him through the door when we get back to the office.
That is true. But hey, it's okay. That's what it's about. It's about taking care of the individuals. I want to make sure that he feels good about himself at the end of this meeting. So
that's a good way to finish. So, well, we appreciate your time, Louis. Hopefully we'll get back up to Rockford here very, very soon. We're looking forward to that. But thanks again for your time, and we appreciate everybody jumping on today. So thanks again, everybody, and take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Great.
Katie.
Thank you.